Hey guys, the weather's warming up in Japan at the moment, so it's rice planting season. So you're looking at a guy here that's preparing his field. It obviously needs a bit of a mix-up, so he's in there mixing it up. Sometimes you see them doing this with tractors. If you go up into the mountains or into the older areas, sometimes you see them doing this by hand in some of the less accessible spots that they grow rice. Basically, for those of you who haven't seen a rice field, if you have a look at it, it looks like a swimming pool, or it's built like a earth dam, I guess. So it's basically built like a pond to retain the water, because obviously they don't want the water all escaping. So they build them like a pond to hold the water in. So this time of year, it's like looking out over a whole heap of swimming pools. Sort of an interesting scene. You've probably seen a video I made before about the changing seasons in the rice fields. Always interesting to watch. So this is a dam or a water storage area up high where they keep their water, because obviously all these rice fields need a lot of water. So they always have these up high somewhere, and then just gravity feed. The water goes down different channels all over the place. I know some of you probably already know all this stuff, and it's probably not very interesting. But for those of you that haven't seen it, I'd never seen any of this before I came to Japan, so that's why I made a video about it. So you can see the channels get slowly smaller as they spread off in different directions to all the different people's rice fields. There's a reasonably modern one you see is made out of concrete, but the older areas you see all sorts of styles. And again, this guy's got a big faucet there, so that water goes through a pipe. He picks it up via a pipe and then channels it down to that tap. Just turns on the tap, fills it up like a swimming pool. And then the next thing you see is the seedlings start arriving. They start stacking up seedlings, sometimes just other places, but sometimes actually in the water, keep them wet, and then they start planting. And again, in the mountains and in isolated areas, you can still see them planting by hand, and they actually do have little festivals where people come and they make a sort of a special day, the first day of planting, and they have a bit of a festival, and it's all very exciting to try and bring good luck to the crop, because obviously it was very important in the old days, and to a lot of people it still is. So in some areas, yeah, they still have a sort of a festival, and the kids come and the old people come and everybody comes, and they plant by hand sometimes. And also in isolated areas you do see people planting by hand. It's just what they do. If they can't get machinery in there, or they can't afford machinery, you know, some of the poorer areas, they still live fairly subsistent sort of styles. And you'll see them surviving up there, growing their rice and doing the whole thing without any machinery at all, which is sort of impressive. You know, they just siphon the water in out of the local creeks, and using channels with, you know, planks of wood blocking the water, and steer the water in and flood it, and then plant it by hand, and then pick it by hand, and then thrash it by hand. So it still happens. It does still happen, but usually this is the scene that we get this time of year. Is the guys out on these machines driving up and down planting the rice. Obviously way quicker. If you watch it done by hand, it's really slow process. You know, each individual little stem of rice has to be stuck into the mud. So obviously by hand that takes a long time, and explains why a lot of the country people you see in the mountains walk very stooped over, because they spend all day every day bent over in the rice fields doing their thing. So I think the modern rice farmer's in a better position, sitting there nice and comfortably, driving up and down. So interesting, these machines too. If you look at the wheels, they've sort of got paddles on them, because obviously that mud's extremely deep. I made a mistake of stepping into one of these things once to recover something that had gone in there, and my leg disappeared up past the knee and got sucked in really deep. It's really hard work moving in them. I really feel sorry for the people doing the stuff by hand, because it is really hard work moving in there. And obviously the machinery they use in there is sort of working in as much water as it is mud. It's really, at this stage, it's really thin. So it's as much water as it is mud at this stage. So when you try and move in there, it's just like moving through really thick water or something, really thin mud. I don't know, something like that. So yeah, I hope you found that interesting. And so once they've all finished planting, and then you find yourself looking out across scenery like this one. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. If there's any of you still watching, more videos coming soon.